Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
This is Coghlan. I'm Bernadette McCabe, for those of you from Carrington that don't know me. We're here to do a presentation on menopause and perimenopause. So I'm going to let Karen introduce yourself first.
Thank you. I own a gym in Kilcoole, Wicklow, called Freedom Fitness. I'm also a nutrition coach, and due to the overall profile of our gym, which is an average age of 45 and 95% female, I went off and gained my coaching cert in menopause.
I'm from the gym in Blarney called EMF Lifting and Laughing. I have a BA and a BS in both psychology and psychotherapy and counselling. I have a master's in psychology also, and then I threw in a diploma in transformative IT. I wanted to do some upskilling, so especially with the age that I'm getting to myself, it's kind of a personal interest, and some of the women down in the gym in Cork had been asking questions, so it just seemed relevant. And then of course, Owen knows yourself, which was brilliant. You were doing it also, so we've decided to put a presentation together to answer as many questions as possible. Perimenopause is the transitional stage before menopause. So basically this is the period starting where women are kind of maybe sometimes in their 30s, but usually around the early 40s. And this leads into then menopause, which is the official diagnosis after 12 consecutive months without having had a period. And that's usually around 45 to 55 when this starts. It can again happen earlier. Sometimes it happens earlier for medical reasons if women have had an hysterectomy. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So even though menopause is a single point in time, it is actually a process that women go through over the course of their life.
So why it's happening, it's hormonal led, mainly due to ovarian aging. So our ovaries are responsible for a lot of how our hormones are produced and work. So the first thing to start decline is the progesterone. After that, then it's the fluctuating estrogen. That's the main driver for all of the symptoms that you're experiencing, like the hot flashes, the sleep disturbances. Then once we reach menopause, like you said, where we don't have a period for 12 months, that's where things start to kind of steady. Where we will still have the low levels of hormones, but at least they're a little bit more steady. And that's where things maybe start to settle down a little bit, and we have adapted to kind of our new life changes and our new norm, as they say.
You will feel physical changes, and not every woman will feel every symptom, and some women might have no symptoms.
Well, that's it. That's why I've highlighted right there. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and and so this is something to be aware of. So there are physical changes, as you can see from the screen. We're going to have hot flashes, night sweats, joint pain is a big one, swelling, and these things that can all be addressed. Sleep disturbance is kind of huge, and that can happen to a woman, I guess, at any point of her life, depending on how her hormones are. Then there's trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. You can also have brain fog, mood swings, irritability.
Yeah.
Another big question that came in was around the sexual health. So there can be vaginal dryness, and this can be an issue, I think, because we don't really like to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are sorry for anyone that feels a little uncomfortable with us talking about it, but unfortunately it is one of those things. And it can be quite comfortable even during intercourse. Even at that, if your libido drops, that in itself can have knock your confidence, and that's really huge for women. And then there's also the cycle changes, so your periods will change, whether they be heavier or lighter, and then eventually fade away, which I think for some women won't be such a bad thing. I'm kind of looking forward to that element of everything. But there are things that we can do to address this that come through lifestyle changes. So basically good sleep, and all of this is practical.
That's it.
Practical self-care. It's not just for menopause. It's now these are like, if you're not going through perimenopause and menopause, now is the time to try and put these in place.
Exactly, like creating new habits.
Absolutely, and to try and minimize them when they do happen. So sleep is essential to your overall health, and I guess the quality of your sleep is really important. So having a sleep routine. So I think having those good patterns of behavior of, switching off your tech early, screen time in particular, beforehand, at least an hour, blue screens, keep them out of the bedroom if at all possible.
I think one of the best things I ever did was stop bringing my phone to bed with me. One of the best things.
These things are important. So it is, like, I mean, and it can be so worrying as well when you're not getting sleep. It's stressful.
Absolutely.
It's a stressful time in your life, but then to not be sleeping adds the stress. And then that constant fatigue, I guess, throughout the day when you're trying to manage just day-to-day things.
That's it. Everything is just harder without sleep.
It's a knock-on effect, So definitely, so keep the room as dark as possible, as cold as possible, and do try and keep your sleep time when you go to bed as regular as possible. And then of course there's different things to help you relax, like stretching and breathing and those kind of exercises, and ruling out caffeine if you can at all, but especially before bed, like not after a certain point during the day. Effective stress management, interestingly enough, I taught a course on this, and people would ask questions And I'm like, unfortunately, it's the things that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
So, stress management, it is important at this point of your life. So basically, your body is going to release cortisol, which is the stress hormone in your body when you're going through phases like this. So it can then obviously disrupt your sleep, as we've just spoken about. That then affects your mood, which can it can affect then your communication with people during the day. And just everything can feel that much more difficult when these things are in place. So trying to manage this, we can practice mindfulness and meditation. If you haven't done that, there are certain apps, if not too close to bed, but there are certain apps that can actually help you with mindfulness and meditation, even to do 5 or 10 minutes a day. But this is just one of the things that you can do. Obviously, staying active is huge, because obviously that can increase your happy hormone, your endorphins, and all those types of things. And it is an actual thing. For instance, I joined the gym this morning. It's the first time I've been able to go in a couple of weeks. Everyone broke the arm. It's been lots of fun. But yeah, we felt better. Like, I went, we tagged each other in, all men came back, and the kids have actually been happier because we're less stressed.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and they feed off that. The people around you feed off that. It's huge. And I think boundaries is huge.
Yeah.
I think most women do tend to do that. They tend to be givers.
Yeah. People pleasers.
A lovely thing about women.
Yeah.
But like, really, you got to start setting some boundaries. It's huge.
Yeah.
And being able to say, no, that's not okay. I don't and prioritize yourself. And do try and make sure that you keep those conversations going with any women, or especially your partner around you, and let them know how you're feeling, if you can at all. It's sometimes difficult to find the words, but if you can at all, try and find the time, because that's really, really important. And again, with self-care, the me time, do engage in your hobbies. Find something that's just for yourself. It doesn't matter if it's knitting, it doesn't matter if it's reading, like whatever it might be. But if you can have an active hobby as well, whether it's just going for a walk in the evening time, that's a really a good one, if you can possibly do that at all. Like this, listen to your body as well. So for instance, I'm listening to my body over the last 4 weeks. Broken arm, haven't been able to do those things as much, but I have found other ways. So I did, like I said, go back to the gym today, but it was all lower body, core work. Can't load weights, so it was very specific as to what you could do. But I was listening to my body in the sense that I knew over the last 4 weeks I had become more stressed, and if spilled over into my personal life, and I don't like to see myself like that or feel myself like that. So these things are really, really important. So you do have to adjust these things.
Yeah, that's it. And one tip I learned a long time ago that has really helped me is, when it comes to like listening to your body, if you don't, you're kind of setting expectations for yourself, and I should be doing this and I should be doing that, and like, it was a phrase I heard, are you shooting all over your happiness? So like, the higher expectations are, the more difficult they are to meet, the more disappointed you're going to be with yourself. So like, rather than shooting, just slow down, tune in, and like you said, take the time to really listen to what your body wants and needs.
Do listen to your body, like how you feel in here, how you feel up there, if you can at all. And there's mindset skills that we're just going to move on to now quickly. So basically, reframing the menopause journey, this huge one. So perimenopause and menopause are portrayed as a time of loss. So there's a loss of fertility, of your youth, and energy, but it's also not the whole story, I guess. So when you look at this, it can be a shift towards renewal. Like, I'm quite looking forward to certain aspects of post-menopause, and have quite enjoyed getting older, because I feel less self-conscious.
Oh yeah.
I really quite enjoy that. And I think that sort of awareness should be focused on as well, as opposed to just the negatives of what you're losing, what you're losing, the inability to have children, and that can be huge. This transition period, it's not exactly an ending, it's just a rebirth.
That's it.
You have to learn.
It's different.
You have to learn who you are, and you have to give yourself time to do that. And thankfully, because of perimenopause and menopause that we know about it now, we do have quite a long time to make those adjustments. But just, you have to be willing to give yourself that time. So building this emotional and cognitive resilience. Who doesn't love this? Gosh, it's so wordy sometimes. So the hormonal fluctuations, I guess, during perimenopause and menopause, they do impact the emotions and your mood. And this idea of developing emotional resilience, like we're of a generation, I think, women that are going through it now, where we are more resilient. But there are techniques that we've spoken about previously. The mindfulness is a good one. The reframing of negative thoughts, which basically means constantly, or consciously shifting your perspective to something a little bit more positive, and realistic as well, because if something can be bad, it can also be good. Like, so, you know, it's not everything is bad. And structuring your daily life and your routine, whether that's around mindful eating or sleeping, clean sleep habits and activity, making sure that you actually schedule activity. This should become part of your routine also. Like, not just, oh, I get to the gym tomorrow. If you know that, okay, I train on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday at whether it be 6:30 in the morning or 6:30 in the evening, that's just part of your day. That's just what you do.
Schedule it in like an appointment. That's the advice I always give to people. And put in a calendar, write it somewhere everyone can see and go, right, I'm off, see you now, bye. And
that's your time. Absolutely. Another really great one is journaling. These are things that you can do that I think are definitely good for your mental health, to kind of just get it out of you. There's a lot of talk around being kind to yourself. This is really important. So treat yourself like you would if it was a friend. If your friend was asking you for advice, what would you tell them? And maybe try and start taking your own. So hard to take your own.
That's it. There's a lot going around. Hashtag be kind. Yes, be kind to others, but more importantly, be kind to yourself too. I think that's really important.
I'm literally going to hand this over to you because this is all your skill here,
Darren. So when it comes to healthy eating habits, it's very easy to fall into a trap of chasing the short-term quick fixes, you know, the allure of the quick fix. So what this is all about sustainable habits. So yes, while certain, you know, quick fixes and diets might get you results in the short term, it's no good for the long term. We're not able to maintain it. So while this all might seem a little bit almost boring, but that's what works. The basic works when it comes to our nutrition. So, you know, as we age, with all of life changes and stresses and everything that's going on, the last thing we need is another source of like deprivation and restriction in our lives. So that's one of the big things, as well as trying to get people out of restrictive dieting and more into, well, what can I eat to positively influence and impact my life? So it's more about nutrition skills rather than a set meal plan or rigid rules. So kind of like forget the diets and let's just go back to basics. So this is what this covers. So some of the key nutrition skills, first of all, when I say the number one there, choose more minimally processed foods, that doesn't mean only, it's a more. So it's a more of the time versus a some of the time thing. So you're eating more minimally processed foods. The reason for this is because they tend to just have more nutrient value in there. So they're more nutrient dense. So there's more nutrition in the minimally processed foods. The second one, choosing fewer higher processed foods, again, for the same reason. They're the ones that tend to have less nutrients in it and are more calorie dense, but that's not to say we never eat them. They're definitely there for enjoyment. That's all part of sustainable eating habits as well. If we don't enjoy the way we eat, we're not going to be able to stick to it in the long term.
I think everyone has had that experience of maybe yo-yo dieting a little bit.
I think everyone has. And the more you talk about it with people, the more they tell you the stories. So like it's massively common, but that doesn't mean that it's normal behavior when you see people doing things like that. So what we're trying to do here is like just cut the cord off the yo-yo and just have things a little bit more sustainable.
That sustainability of having a diet of where you're eating as much of the right kind of food as possible, I guess, can also then impact your hormones.
Well, that's it. I'll talk about this a little bit later on as well. How like we can't balance our hormones, but we can do our best to provide the kind of groundwork for them to be able to do their job. So the next one on the list then is making sure you get enough protein and healthy fats. So rather than thinking about cutting things out, let's think about adding things in that we actually need. Protein and healthy fats being a huge one that women are maybe, not to pigeonhole all women, but something that they might be more prone to cutting out for various reasons. Maybe fats because of diets like Weight Watchers and Slimming World kind of are more anti-fats, whereas I'll go through the positive reasons why we actually need to include them in our diet. Then the next one is eating plenty of colourful fruits and vegetables. Again, the more colour variety, the better, because if something is colourful, you can be sure there's micronutrients in there, vitamins, minerals, all of the kind of plant good stuff.
Has to be Instagram pretty.
Instagram pretty, you don't see me posting my meals.
No, I wouldn't post my meals either, but I do try and I do try and definitely make it as colourful as possible. Green, orange, whatever I can get on the plate.
And that's it.
I have has that increased my protein? Because I wasn't aware previously.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's all about awareness. And like if you, on the next couple of slides, I do dive into the reasons why we should be, well, I shouldn't be saying should after my chat earlier, but all of the positive reasons to include these things in your diet. If we understand the reasons why, we're more likely to actually make that informed choice. So then the next one is choosing slower digesting carbs. So again, it's kind of like the type of carbohydrate. And again, that's just to make sure that we're getting the right stuff in. Fiber being the big one, and that's the next one there. The the more slower digesting the carbohydrate is, the chances are there's a higher fiber in your diet. And then the last one is hydration. So we'll talk about the importance of getting enough water in as well in the next few slides. So the why of protein, people might be a little bit fear of protein, and they might think that a high protein diet is harmful for you, but in reality, it's actually quite hard to overeat on protein, just because protein is quite, it has the kind of the highest satiation factor of all of the food groups. So you get fuller quicker when you include protein in your diet. So that's one of the really important reasons to keep it. But not just from that point of view, it's also like the basic building block of the body, not just muscles. And I think that's why women sometimes have been fearful about including protein in their diet. They feel like they're all of a sudden just going to grow these big muscles, but it's not just that. There's so much more to it. Like even just your tissue, like your nails, your hair, they play a huge regulatory function in terms of our hormones as well. So really important that we include protein in our diet. Our requirements go up as we get older as well. So making sure that we keep our levels high.
That's a huge one though. I didn't know that either.
Yeah. So, as we age, we tend to lose our bone mass and our muscle mass at an accelerated rate, again, due to hormones. So what we need to do is feed it to keep it. So our muscles and our bone work on a use it or lose it principle. So we have to use it, but we also have to feed it to make sure that we're hanging on to as much of our bone and muscle mass as possible. So protein plays a big role in that as well. If you are going to the gym doing resistance training, it is also really important just for the repair and the recovery side of things as well. Not just for building big bulky muscles, but just to actually make sure that we're recovering well. And then when we go into our next training session, we're feeling 100% again to give more effort in the next session. And the next one then is the healthy fats. So just to focus in, especially omegas, so the omega-3s, 6s, 9s. Generally, we tend to eat enough fat in our diet, if we're not restrictive dieting, that is. So we don't need to overly focus on the other types of fats. We normally are getting enough of them through maybe cooking, included in like if you eat dairy products, meat, all that sort of stuff. So there generally is that type of fat already in our diet. What a lot of people are probably missing is the omegas. So if you don't eat fish in your diet, it'd be really important, oily fish, salmon, that sort of fish, really important to put a little bit of focus on that. So the reason why then we need to have our healthy fats hormone support. It's just huge. Outside of hormones then, like brain and our mood, it's all linked to that. Postnatal depression has been shown to be linked to omega-3 deficiency. So the baby is quite literally sucking the omega-3s out of the mom's body because it's not a fat that we produce ourselves. And that has been linked to postnatal depression. So the omega-3 is really important for our brain and our mood boosting power as well. It also quite literally lubes the surfaces of our cells as well. So like really important for hydrating the body from the inside out. So our cell membranes are made of fat molecules. So really important, like from a structural point of view and a functional point of view in the body, that we include our fats in it as well. There's also a lot of fat soluble vitamins, the A, D, E, and K groups as well, that need a source of fat to be absorbed into your diet. So if you have like slimline milk, for example, there's a good chance that the vitamin D within the milk won't be absorbed as much because you don't have the fat. One other thing there is it has anti-inflammatory function properties as well. So like just again, there's so much more to fats than it just being an energy provider, and it was so easily targeted in the past to just, for a weight loss point of view, let's cut the fats out because it has a higher calorie density. I know there can be a lot of negative connotations associated with the word fat, whereas really it's just really,
and it's also necessary.
And necessary, well, 100%. Yeah, 100%. A huge one for the hormones, though. Can't emphasize that enough. It also does have that satiation factor as well. So when you have a balance of protein, fats, and carbs in your meals, that's when you're going to more likely be satisfied from them. Yeah. So then the why of the veggies and the fruit, the more color, the better. because then you can be sure that you're covering all your essential nutrients and your micronutrients and your vitamins. So, you know, I could kind of list out all the different micronutrients and what they do, but really we don't need to know that information. We just need to make sure if we include the rainbow, we can be sure then that all our sources are going to be covered.
In other words, if your plate is beige, you need to add some colour to it.
Yeah. But that's it. And it's a most of the time thing as well. Some plates of beige are fine as well. But like they're huge functional they have a huge functional role in the body. So the immune support, anti-inflammatory, gut health, all of that sort of thing. There's so much to it. And because they are quite energy sparse as well, you can eat more of them as well. And including them in your diet as well can help you feel fuller and longer as well. So then the slower digesting carbs, we're not saying just eat slower digesting carbs. I guess I'm just highlighting the importance of the types of carbohydrate. Yeah, so the type of carbohydrate does matter. The more fiber we have, the more nutrients we have, the better our body is going to be able to function. So it's just highlighting that really. And the better position we can put our bodies in, the more our body is going to be able to handle the symptoms of menopause, like the hot flashes and the psychological symptoms. Yeah. So like, it's not as if there's anything magical to this in terms of it directly influencing anything in particular. It's the concept of as a whole. Okay. So you're putting your body in you're giving your body the best possible chance it has to do a better job of managing symptoms. So, the main thing with the slower digesting carbs again is the fiber, and from a plumbing point of view, keeping yourself regular, because constipation, again, hormones can massively influence our gut health as well. So just making sure that we're putting our body in the best possible place. The last few slides there were addressing the types of food, but we also want to take into consideration the quantity. So a really easy way, without going down the route of counting calories or macros or sins or anything like that, is just the size of our hand as a portion guide. So you're talking about the palm of the hand for serving of protein, cupped hand for carbs, fist for your veggies, and then a thumb for your fats. So that's what's considered a portion. In terms of how much we need, it depends on the person. So bigger person, a more active person is going to need more food. The smaller person, less active person is going to need less food. So without going very specific here, it generally tends to be anywhere from 1 to 2 portions of all of the 4 per meal. So when it comes to putting it all together, then it might help to visualize it on a plate, where half of your plate is fruit and veg, a quarter is protein, a quarter is your carbohydrates, and then your fat generally is built in either as a cooking oil or a dressing or a condiment or something like that, or it could already be in the fish, for example, a salmon. So visually, that's kind of what you're looking for in terms of putting it all together. So every meal is an opportunity to eat a meal like that. That's not to say that every meal, it's a most of the time thing.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Beyond what you eat, how you eat really matters. So this is the kind of the mindful eating part. So again, listening to your body, learning how to recognize your body's fullness and hunger. So I think a lot of the time we're trained how not to do that, because we're told to ignore hunger levels if we're on a diet, or just maybe from an enjoyment hedonic point of view, we tend to overeat and not listen to our fullness.
It's glamorized as well a little bit, like that starvation.
Yeah. And then on the opposite end, you have other diets that say, oh, eat this and never go hungry. But like, hunger is normal. Yeah. It's a normal everyday thing. It's like, you know, bringing babies back into it. You can't overfeed babies, because they actually do listen and recognize their hunger and fullness. Yeah. Whereas as adults, we tend to lose that. So bringing back in some mindful eating will really help with that. So just kind of slowing down and really tuning into your hunger and fullness levels. So eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're full, to be very simplistic. One of the things I've said there, it's okay to leave food on your plate.
It is. That's like okay, but you also learn then what portions you eat.
Exactly. So it's a learning. So like, if you find, well, I'm constantly throwing out food, well, then you'll learn from that and cook less on subsequent meals or serve up less. So just taking the time to really slow down and tune into your hunger and fullness, avoiding the extreme levels of hangry and overly full. So you're eating until you feel satisfied, but not sickly stuffed. Mindful eating, I think, is huge when it comes to helping us eat the right amount for us, without having to go into the whole tracking and calorie counting and all of that. So, you know, in terms of mindful eating, so eating slowly. So mindfulness also means it means with awareness, but without judgment. So you're taking away the good food versus bad food. You know, oh, it's so bad because I ate McDonald's last night. You know, it's realizing that, you know, food is a source of enjoyment as well. It's not just about fuel, it's so much more than that. So mindful eating, I think, really helps when it comes to the mindset side. And if you have a healthy mindset towards food, that could be literally the one change that could change people's relationship with food, in turn their eating habits, and in turn if they do have weight loss goals, it could be the only thing that they need to change. They just need to tune into and figure out how to eat more so than what to eat.
Well, that practice though of mindful eating though is really key, because we do have this culture of social eating, and you go out for a meal, whether it's you might do it once a week, you might do it once a month, if you're really lucky, maybe you'll do it twice a week. But then it's like, oh well, I've been good Monday through Friday, and then it all goes out the window. And I think that's key. But if you focus on the mindful side of it, then that will continue that.
Well, that's it. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. So you're trying to break that black and white thinking. Like you were saying there, like food does bring friends and family together. So it's important to realize that it is kind of that social health as well. So if we can break that cycle of the all or nothing and rein in the extremes and kind of live in that little happy medium as well, it'll help us to balance the overall amount of food that we're eating. And like if we're enjoying our food more and we're slowing down, we could end up eating less in the long term. So the hydration then, just the essence of life. Like it is so important for so many things. I think so many people go around in a dehydrated state without realizing it. A lot of headaches are attributed to just being dehydrated. So, you know, the body is made of 70% water. It needs it more than any other nutrient. So it plays a huge regulatory role in the body, you know, temperature control, protection, like lubing our airways and our passageways going down into the body. Our gut health as well depends massively on it. So many important things associated with water. So, you know, a good starting point is 2 to 3 liters a day. Again, that range is quite large just because smaller people will need less, larger people will need more. And if you wanted to put a kind of a more specific goal, it would be 30 to 35 mils per kilo of body weight per day. Yeah. So how do we know if we're drinking enough pee goals? So using the chart there. So if our pee is like super clear, that probably means we've drank a little bit too much water. And then on the opposite end of the scale, if our pee is a little bit more brown, burnt orange, that's when we're in trouble. Yeah. So we don't want to let it get to that. We kind of want to hang around the lemonade color.
Preferably.
Yeah, preferably. So some good tips when it comes to water. Carrying around a water bottle. I'm saying that one first because it's on the screen there. But if we have that visual reminder to drink water, we're more likely to actually read for it as well. So like start small. If you feel like, oh my God, I only drink half a litre of water a day, and some people they do, and they just don't realize how dehydrated they are. Start small. It's like watering a plant. You don't want to just give a plant a load of water because it'll just drip out. So you're just going to pee it out all of a sudden. So build slowly, add an extra glass a day until your body actually starts absorbing it and hanging on to the water. Like making sure that you're adding in, like if you find water really bland, like add in a bit of fruit, a bit of peppermint, a bit of lime, any citrusy fruit, things like that, whatever it is, you know, like build it into your daily routine as well. So like anytime you put on the kettle, boil the kettle, drink a glass of water, you know, make sure you're pouring a glass of water with every meal. So it's just part of what you do every day.
And if you can actually have one first thing in the morning when you get up.
First thing in the morning, that's a huge one as well. Yeah.
Sets you up. Actually,
that's it. If you set them
before you first, I know lots of people drink tea or coffee, caffeine, whatever it may be. That'll actually just delay that a little bit.
Well, that's it. Well, and like you're setting the tone for the day. So if you start the day as you mean to go out, or start the day as you mean to go on, the glass of water really helps. Like I was saying, but while you're making your coffee, have your glass of water, then sit down and have your coffee. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So really important to get that water into you. Some of the questions I've had is about alcohol and caffeine. So just like to address really quickly, it can significantly affect women going through menopause, and both substances can worsen the effects. So it's not about saying to cut it out completely. It's just maybe to monitor how much and maybe adjust the quantity and how you're drinking it as well. So like when it comes to alcohol especially, it can disrupt your sleep. I don't know if you wear Fitbits or Garmin's. If you have a couple of drinks, you'll be able to see the heart rate all over the place at night time. Yeah, so it really affects your rest as well. So you won't sleep as well when it comes to drinking alcohol. So it's all about moderation and limiting your intake. So there is recommendations there on the overall amount. So 5 to 7 drinks a week. So kind of try to spread it out in terms of
Well, I
how
guess the
that
benefit
suits.
of maybe cutting one or the other, like I actually gave up coffee, so now I find I don't go to a coffee shop, so I'd say 1 or 2.
Well, there you go. There's other benefit. Well, you'll save a fortune if you cut out alcohol these days, price things. So with caffeine, then there's some positives as well. It may help with alertness, concentration, and maybe alleviate fatigue at times. But also, depending on how you metabolize coffee, you could also make some symptoms worse. So you could feel more anxious, you could feel more irritated, just depending on how you metabolize coffee. So some people are slow metabolizers, others are fast metabolizers. So again, it's not like a one size fits all when it comes to recommending coffee. The recommendation is to limit the intake to a moderate amount, so maybe 300 to 400 mgs of coffee a day. Like a standard, say, filter coffee is probably anywhere between 150 and 250 mgs, so just depending on the strength of the coffee and the brand of the coffee and all of that. And then one of the most important things when it comes to your coffee is having a cut-off time. So coffee in the morning, and trying to cut it off at least 6 to 8 hours before bedtime.
Of course,
yeah, so it's not going to disrupt it.
Sleep,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so really important. Again, it's not about cutting it out. It's just moderation is absolute key when it comes to that. So this next slide, all about weight gain in midlife. Not everyone has a weight loss goal, so if you want to tune out for this part, that's okay. But the main reason why we will tend to gain weight as midlife approaches is again the hormonal change. So the decline in estrogen again can be responsible for like how our belly fat, or sorry, how our fat is stored. So it might store more around our midsection, more so as an even distribution. The hormone shift is not necessarily responsible for changes in metabolism, but we do tend to slow down a little bit, but without realizing it. So that can often be a thing as well. We tend to lose more muscle mass as we age as well due to sarcopenia. And then because we have lower energy output, because we're moving less, it could be even on a subconscious level, that all kind of combines and accumulates in weight gain. So it's not necessarily something that we've no control over. We just probably aren't aware of how our daily habits have changed. Some of the things then that we can do in terms of weight management strategies, again, it all just boils back to the basics. There's no magic pill out there. It's just addressing your day-to-day, all of the lifestyle, the self-care, and the sleeping that we talked about, and then adding in things like strength training and making sure we're having a protein-rich diet, so we're holding on to as much muscle mass as possible. And we're prioritizing our sleep like we talked about. We're managing our stress, getting daily movement in to keep our calorie expenditure high when we subconsciously have maybe started reducing it. And then just balancing our meals as well. So everything that we just talked about, using the portion guide, tuning into your mindful eating. That's one thing where hormones could potentially have an effect, is that it kind of blunts our ability to recognize our hunger and our fullness. It kind of disturbs our appetite almost a little bit. So if we're having a hard time tuning into our hunger and fullness, well, that's when going back to the portions can be really useful, just to help with the overall quantity of food. So then again, just setting realistic expectations. We talked about realistic expectations when it comes to our mental health. It's the same with our weight management. So going for the more sustainable option. So the next one that's huge is exercise and physical activity. Yeah, so I'm obviously hugely biased towards all of this because of the gym, but like I just can't imagine my life without it. There's so much positive influence from it. So the right kind of movement can really change everything when it comes to midlife. So the benefits of regular exercise, which we've kind of touched on already, is like improving our mood, reducing stress, protecting our heart health. So from cardio point of view, strengthen our bones, hanging on to muscle mass as well, boosting energy, supporting weight regulation that we just touched on, improving sleep. And a top tip is just like including a few different, so it doesn't have to be just one. We can mix in both. So some people, what's better for you, strength or cardio? Well, how about we just do a bit of both? But if we're to do an even deeper dive, so much more than just what we normally see from exercise, improve our insulin sensitivity, boosting our brain function. It may reduce hot flashes. So again, just because different women experience symptoms differently. It can also improve our sexual health by increasing blood flow, lifting our mood, and also just improving body confidence as well, and libido. And then the last one there, strengthening our immune function. So moderate movement then can help keep our immune system strong and responsive. then when it comes to the different types of exercise, I put strength training right up the top.
Yeah.
Because that can often be the missing piece of the puzzle when it comes to women and helping delay the aging process. You can't completely offset it, but you can certainly help delay it a little bit. So strength training, the most powerful tool for midlife women. And I can't emphasize that enough. So it helps build and maintain our muscle mass, improves our bone density, which is so important because of osteoporosis due to hormones, supporting our metabolism, and again, just protecting against age-related muscle loss and insulin resistance as well. So a lot of women end up in hospital due to fracture-related falls. And some of them don't even, classic example, some of them don't even come out, unfortunately. It's quite morbid to think about. But the stronger we are, the more resilient we are going to be to these falls as well. So there's also our aerobic exercise as well. So cardio activities like walking, cycling, swimming. And the main thing about that is picking a form of cardio that you enjoy to do. Again, it's because of the sustainability factor. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're less likely to actually keep it up. And then when it comes to our mobility and flexibility, we want to incorporate that sort of kind of slower restorative movement as well, to help with our joints, and maybe if there is some like stiffness there and inflammation as we age as well. So it's just going to help also protect or give better posture as well. There's no such thing as perfect posture, but we want to be able to hang out in better posture and improve our quality of movement as well. And just altogether helping to prevent injury and to keep the body moving well. So low impact movement then, maybe things like Pilates, breath work as well, if that's your thing. Again, all kind of coming together to help support stress relief, nervous system regulation, so many positive things.
Of course, and then it can be combined as well, like dance can include flexibility.
Well, that's it. And if that's something that you enjoy to do, highly recommend that you keep it in there. 100%. Some tips for, how do I actually stay consistent? The main thing is that enjoyment. If you don't enjoy it, you will not stick to it. So finding something that you enjoy, it's hugely going to increase the chances of you sticking to the thing. So in the gym, I'm like EMF, just the name, lifting and laughing. You can tell that you guys put such a focus into the enjoyment factor, and we do as well. So even though you're in the gym to work hard, but we're going to try and make sure you enjoy it somewhat. So you come back.
Fun dimensions.
Exactly. So again, we talked about setting achievable goals and realistic expectations as well. Not having these super high realistic expectations, because the higher they are, the more you're going to be disappointed if you can't.
Of course. Don't think go and train for triathlon.
Sure.
But do engage in some sort of physical activity that you can maintain, and then hopefully over the course of your life improve on it and push it a little bit further, because you need to.
Anytime I talk to new potential gym members, they always say, well, how many times a week should I be going to the gym? And I say, well, start with 2. It's enough to see and feel the difference, but it's not going to overwhelm your schedule. So it's not, again, breaking free from this all or nothing mentality. I don't have to go to the gym 4 times a week. If anything, I'd nearly say that that's nearly detrimental, because you're leaving less room for other things. You're doing a lot of kind of heavy lifting 4 days a week, and you're giving yourself less opportunity to recover from those. So you might end up feeling worse. If you find it hard to stick to something in the long term by yourself, go join like a group activity. So you have that kind of social and accountability support as well. I book into my own gym classes. Like last night, we booked into the gym at 6:30, and I was going, I'm no more in the mood for this. And then I got there, everything was taken care of me by the coaches, all done for me. Everyone else was there supporting, having the chats. And next thing I forgot, I didn't want to be there, and we had the great hour, and we went home in the best moods. And the last one, I briefly mentioned it there earlier, scheduling it like any other appointment. Book in, schedule it in your diary, put it in your Gmail calendar, whatever it is, stick it on the fridge, tell whoever it is at home, I'm off, here's my half hour, here's my hour, I'm gone. Good luck. And you're way more likely to actually follow through when you schedule it. So then moving into a little bit deeper dive into the pelvic floor health, it's really pertinent to menopause, just because of the hormones and weakened connective tissue and muscles as well. So leaking is the main one. Would exercise mainly impact coughing, sneezing, that sort of thing? If you feel like an increased urgency or frequency, or a dragging sensation down through kind of like your pelvis, that might be indicative of a prolapse. So rather than just kind of like just go, oh, this is just how it is. We can actually do something about it and address it. So, you know, it really matters, because if you have incontinence, it's going to affect your quality of life as well. So we want to be able to actually improve our quality of life by addressing it, rather than just kind of going, oh, well, this is what happens.
Yeah. And knowing that you can do something.
Knowing you can do something about it as well. Yeah. So the education and awareness around our pelvic floor health, I think, is coming to the fore a lot more, rather than just ignoring it. So again, there's a lot that can be done to connect our breathing, practicing to our pelvic floor, to strengthen it and engage it, and to ultimately train confidently in the gym, and to be able to recognize the symptoms as well. So we can do something about it. So it's really important that we do get that support when it comes to our pelvic floor. And again, if it's something that you can't correct yourself, go see a pelvic health physio. I can't emphasize that enough. It's not something we just have to put up with. We should go get these things looked at. And again, there is things that we can be doing ourselves. So some of the exercises we can be doing, so we want to incorporate our breathing. So we take a big deep breath into our belly, out into our ribs, and we think about relaxing through the pelvic floor. And then as we breathe out, we do a little squeeze and lift up through the pelvic floor. That's the basics. It's kind of like a Kegel within your breathing, but it's a lot more practical, where it's more functional, and it has carryover. So you're not just sitting there doing your squeezes, you're training it very consciously now with your breathing, so that it'll automatically kick in time. So huge focus on the connection breath, not just for postnatal women, but for perimenopause and menopause as well. So we layer that into our lifting then. So while yes, it's really consciously done now, over time it could train, we train ourselves so that the pelvic floor automatically kicks in. Every time we do a deadlift, our pelvic floor lifts and squeezes. Every time we jump on a box, our pelvic floor fires up. So we're trying to layer it into our lifting and into our gym work. So another couple of things to help with our pelvic floor is good alignment. So like if we're arching through our back and flaring through our ribs, the chances of our core actually firing is less. So we just kind of stack ourselves ribs over pelvis. So our alignment is really important. And then when it comes to just building foundational core and glute bridge, foundational core and glute work, we can do things like our glute bridges, our bird dogs, just very gentle things we can be doing at home, which will help connect it all together. So we don't have to go into the gym and start deadlifting with our connection breath. Just start nice and gentle at home by layering in the connection breath with the likes of glute bridges. So we're breathing in and then we're breathing out through the effort. So nice, slow, controlled.
And while not every woman might experience this early on, you may down the line. So this is always good practice to get in, because every woman has a pelvic floor and you should be taken care of.
So do men.
Yeah, they do.
Also, just to say, so
it is definitely work that you kind of should be doing, even if you don't have that symptom, because there's no guarantee that it won't happen in the line.
Exactly.
They're very lucky if it doesn't happen down the line. But maybe it won't, because you've implemented these exercises. So
but that's it, strengthen it now. Strengthen it now.
Preventive.
Preventive. That's it. And like anything, you want to progress these things gradually as well. So like I said, don't just go to the gym and start trying to do your connection breath with 80 kgs on your deadlift. Start slowly and gradually build the load. So again, top tip, if you're anyway unsure or you feel like there's a deeper rooted issue there, go see a pelvic health physio. We can refer you on to two different ones in whatever area. Exactly.
So your partner's role in menopause is actually crucial to your overall well-being. So whether it's your husband, whether it's your father or your brothers or your friends or whoever it might be, I guess the biggest thing here is communication. To be able to talk to them, you have to be able to talk to them, or at least feel that you can, should you need to. Obviously, there's the hope that you have female friends that you can also confide on. But if you are living with somebody, do try and have that conversation with them, because you are going to be on a very happy roller coaster. Potentially, not, like I said, not all women have symptoms or have signs. They might not even be aware that they're going through it, and you're very lucky then if that's the case. But if you are, definitely do try and have these conversations with them, and be patient and understand that they won't know, and there's no way for them to know what you're going through unless you tell them. So that communication is really important, and putting in healthy habits, like I spoke about earlier on, about maybe having one point in the week where you go for a walk and have that conversation with it.
That's it. And the more you talk about it, the more normalized it becomes as well, and that removes any kind of associated stigma as well.
Absolutely. And you could just say, be like, I had a rough night's sleep last night. I might need a few minutes to myself. It could be just something as simple as that, and that might be all it takes. So maybe you'd be like, I'm going to just do a little bit more exercise, or I'm going to take 10 minutes to myself and do a bit of meditation, and all of that. That's really, really important. And maybe they'll go off and take part in their own education in it, because that's also helpful. Maybe they might want to watch this.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, every little bit of information is helpful. But I guess to wrap it up, as I said there a few times, just in the last one, that knowledge is power, having the conversation, asking the questions. Your lifestyle is so important, and it is something that can be managed, whether it's what you're eating, whether it's how you're training, whether it's how you self-care, self-compassion. These things are important. Do put more time into your food, a little bit of time consideration. None of these things are going to cost you any money, unless of course you go down the HRT route, which is perfectly up to yourself. Movement,
Game
huge,
changer.
absolutely huge,
Huge.
and all of these things, and of course, like one of our last slides there is pelvic health. Pelvic health is huge. Do try and focus on it if you can at all. And I guess that's pretty much it. Like, yeah, it is a stage of life if you're lucky enough to go through it, because do you know what? It can be hard being a woman, but it can be great fun too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there are elements to coming through the end of menopause that, like I said previously, I'm kind of looking forward to, you know. But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. Been lovely talking to you.
Yeah.
And
hopefully everyone gets something out of that.
absolutely. And like this, if you have any questions within the gym that you're watching it through, don't be afraid to ask any questions, and we will come back to you on it.
Brilliant.
All right, ladies, take care.